Going live. Hello. We are live. I think we are live. I hope we are live. I am telling myself that we have
Yes,
gone
we
live.
are.
YouTube is
We are
telling me that
indeed.
we have gone live. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Are we all audible and edible? Please let me know. Hello, friends.
Audible and edible is nice.
Audible and edible, bro. Audible and edible.
That's how I like my food.
Exactly. Audible and edible. Full of that good crunch. Hello to all. Hello to friends. Happy Dasera to all.
Oh, yes,
Uh,
HD.
HDHD. Full enjoy. Straight away, let's get into it. Thoughts. I'm still sleepy from that night, I think. So, you all take.
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Guys, can you all just not talk while I'm in this breaking zone, please? Just it's hurting my ears while you are talking.
I think the important
Yeah.
thing is that what we should do is we should have a discussion and we should come to
Mm.
some conclusions today and we should end the podcast. And tomorrow morning, we should have opposite conclusions and say that
Yes.
Yeah.
half are. So, all the people who actually tuned in today to
It
watch
was a lie.
can
Yeah.
essentially just
Yeah.
go to hell,
Yeah.
basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thoughts, friends. We will go
I
in.
think particularly gutting from Sherry, right? So I think
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
actually,
was like,
Cheryl
why did I
Sherry.
stay up half the night?
yeah, why the
Actually,
hell did she
yeah.
stay up?
I
Yeah,
woke up and I was
really.
like, what the hell? No.
Yeah,
It
what
was
happened?
all a dream.
Yeah, yeah.
That's at
I
least
mean,
you
Lewis
got to be
Hamilton's
happy.
social
Yeah.
media, yeah,
Yeah.
social media
Guys,
post with the collab post with
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc was on point.
I think it
That was,
reiterates one of
yeah,
the narratives which we have had since coming that I think F1 has the best social media game of
yeah, for
any
sure.
sport, like
Yeah,
hands down
100%.
and far away.
I mean,
But
at this
yes,
point, I don't know what they want from us as like viewers also. I just feel like I'm like this weekend was like, you're supposed to not have a job or life to make it to every event in this weekend one. And then not sleep through the nights. And after that also then this is the outcome where I'm just like, why?
but see,
Elon,
if you had been patient and if you had through all this been a Logan Sargent fan, you would have woken up very happy
yeah,
yesterday. But
so
finally,
what
Bichara
you're
has
saying
got
is
his
if
point.
Logan Sargent woke up yesterday
Yes.
happy,
yeah,
is what I'm
yeah.
hearing.
Logan Sargent's mom and
woke up,
dad
yeah, and
woke up
Logan
really
Sargent,
happy.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
and four
Woken
people
Sargent.
at Williams.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, what to make of these disqualifications? Okay, first of all, this obviously happened because of a sort of standard randomized checking that happens of a few cars.
Yeah.
So the way it
Hmm.
works is all cars are supposed to meet certain regulations, be in park ferme, and to ensure this happened, there's essentially the equivalent of random drug testing
Correct.
of
Yeah.
some of the cars. Now we come to the question, which is that if you have randomly drug tested, like what, 4 cars in this case, and
Yes,
found
and
that
two.
Yeah.
2 are on drugs. I mean, I don't even know that I have a question. I just throw that dot open to the three of you.
Yeah, I mean,
50-50.
why would you not test all the cars then?
Exactly. I mean, that is my only argument. I
How
just
many points would Logan Sargent get?
Sargent get it.
You tested all cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
Logan
it's
Sargent
like-
maiden race victory.
He would win before Lando Norris. If they checked every car, it would be so funny.
Though they did check Lando and Verstappen were one
I know,
of
I know,
the
I
two of
know.
the
Yeah,
four
Podium,
cars, yeah,
podium.
but
I mean,
still,
if you're going
podium
to
to
go
ho
to
jata,
the point of disqualification, I mean, if it's that much of a, situation, and I mean, possibly you've obviously got most cars this weekend are going to have this result, which is why it's like, chalo, 4 ko check karo, 2 ko punish karo, aur khatam karo. But,
Yeah.
like, as a sport, can we not just like do this, like, generically, like how all the drivers come in and weigh themselves post the race? Whatever your post race protocols are, whatever, they should be standardized, right? I don't think it's fair in this situation. I mean, yeah, rules are rules, and I mean, it's one thing to disqualify people if they don't, get like a clean chit or whatever, it's fine. But I just feel like in this case, as we said, how many people wouldn't have gotten that clean shit is the question mark.
Have you
And
guys seen that? Delhi, mein, there were those recent athletics meets,
yeah,
and nobody wanted to win because like
Yeah.
all these athletes were like, nobody showed up. There's like one guy showed up for the race because all of the other athletes were apparently doping very heavily and they didn't want to be tested. Yeah. Though
That's
having said that, like I mean, knowing on the larger scheme of
yeah,
things, the randomized testing happens for a load of different types of checks that happen.
yeah,
Some checks are standardized for all of the cars, and some
Hmm.
just because of the sheer logistics of testing so many different parts and articles of the sporting regulations every weekend, they just do it sort of randomized. Like it's one easy example of that is the cars being weighed in when they come into the pit lane. That's completely
Yeah.
randomized, so things like that. But yeah, I mean, the whole 50-50, if like, also this weekend was particularly brutal on the floors of the
yeah,
car, like with the sprint weekend as well.
Yeah.
Like what tends to happen is they just have that one FP1 session to get everything right. And then one like point of this weekend is that like FP1 determines the park forme of the
Exactly.
car,
Yeah.
basically, so the sprint also would have taken a toll on the plank, and I think both both Lewis and Charles did really long first stints as well because of, we'll get into strategy.
Hmm.
Gosh, where do we start with Ferrari strategy? But whatever, like they went so long on that first thing. So yeah, I mean, them's the breaks for these guys when it comes to the DQ. But I think one thing that could be done is that on sprint weekends, don't impose the
Exactly.
park form in FP1 just because of the nature of the weekend, and that would potentially help solve some of these technical
Because then it also
regulations.
makes it more fun because in a shorter race,
Yeah.
like people can also set up their car way more
Cars.
aggressively,
Yeah.
so that it'll also
Exactly,
lead
yeah.
to better racing instead of this nonsense time pass sprint
But
race
I
that
For
we
think
have.
sure.
it's just like not well thought through. Nah, I think they've just introduced so many things and they haven't thought of the
Yeah.
repercussions and they're going with that
Yeah.
age-old rule book that's there. But like now when
Yeah.
you're adding 20 more things, as you
Yeah.
said, there's no consideration for those
in
things.
general, it was a weird, again, one of those weekends where sort of rules came up a lot, right? Because
Yeah. Track
with
limits
the
was
track limits thing and also the gaining an advantage,
Yeah.
going off the
Yeah.
track and then sort of
Track and-
having that position and then being
Yeah.
sort of penalized a bunch of positions, where the counter argument is, but if you're penalizing him from that position, he should never have had that position in
Yeah.
the first place, and that affects a lot of things downwind essentially.
For
So
sure.
again,
Tough weekend for the stewards,
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah, just in
yeah,
the sense.
yeah.
I think,
No,
and
but I think they're all just winging it, right? Like, don't you like it just feels like it's like every weekend now is like some new scenario which they didn't
yeah,
expect. They didn't
everything can be figured
and
out on the night except Andretti entry. Okay,
Yeah,
that there are
yeah.
hard rules. Okay,
I mean,
very
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like
difficult.
last time we were like laughing and cracking jokes about like Lando and Piastri and all being interviewed and saying, "Oh, now you're not, top three
Yeah.
anymore." But this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, the fact that
Yeah.
they've won and then they've been disqualified on a like technicality specifically, which I mean is absurd.
I do remember in 1994, like the floor plank was introduced in 1994. So the plank was, and in response to the cars being run much lower, like in that season.
Mhm.
And then obviously the crash of Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna introduced like these raft of new rule changes. And 1994 was the first year where we had that floor plank. This wooden plank that is literally attached. Like these days, it's a hybrid material or whatever, but literally a freaking wooden plank attached. And that season, 1994, was Michael Schumacher's sort of coming onto the scene, and he won the Belgian Grand Prix that year, but was disqualified because his floor plank had, sort of rubbed itself too less as well. So, like these kind of things, these technical regulations, they catch you off guard all the time. But I think this sprint weekend had a solution to it, is basically looking at FP1 then as not the park form time and increasing that. So. But yeah, but also one of the other indicative things of this is why, like, Red Bull, for example, is able to run its car so much lower without causing this bouncing and porpoising that like is affecting the floor of a lot of these cars. So, again, like the aero of that car was sort of is so good. It's like indicative of this whole season. Though, I mean, Max's race was not straightforward.
Yeah. First time he's actually had to like work for the win. And not because like it's because like the car was shit. It's not like the other people were better. It's just because it's like, oh, okay, aaj brakes nahi hai. So
yeah. We should just introduce random challenges like this for him. Like, the accelerator does go only to 90%. It doesn't go all the way.
But just the fact that like he was not confident on the brakes and he still went for like those dive bombs on like Leclerc and who else did he do it on? I think was it Norris as well, where he went to dive, where it just shows like full commitment, dude. Like to like not even sideways, like to send it that hard with brakes you're not confident on is wild.
That's why he didn't want people talking to him.
Yeah. So this is a question, which is like, as a race engineer, you know that there is like 15 seconds of straight before. Why are you not giving him instruction at that time when your only message is Lewis 3.6 seconds behind? Why can it not be done just there?
Yeah.
So strange.
I think like Max Verstappen's most challenging teammate isn't Sergio Perez, it's GP.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and there was like this moment at the end of the race on the team radio. He was like, "Yeah, good job. I'll see you on Friday." Like, okay, fuck off. Like, asshole. Like,
what was that about? Like, he was just like, "Chalo, main nikal raha hai."
मैं निकल रहा है, हाँ, तुम लोग party करो.
हम तो फकीर आदमी हैं.
Yeah. But it wasn't the most straightforward race for him, and that braking challenge was definitely an issue. You could like really see it. Like, I mean, just see how good he was in the sprint compared to like what he was sort of dealing with over here. And I don't think anybody has won Austin that far back either. Like,
I think it's always been front row that wins in Austin.
Yeah. But I think like even still, like I think we all had a sense of inevitability to it, right? Like I don't think like any one of us was doubting that like dude could make it from P6 to P1.
But at least
there was like one of us.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
There was specifically one of us. I think there was specifically one of us.
But not like realistically, P6 is not that far back for him. I mean, given the current situation.
Though having said that, like I mean, this was probably Lewis's best race of the season. And if that whole like if they didn't have that like period where they were like should we do one stop, should we do two stop type of thing, which like obviously
he would have easily caught up.
I think so.
Because he was losing probably a second and a half a lap for 3 laps. And plus the pit stops, both of them were fairly slow. So I think there was a good like 6 seconds in that.
Yeah.
Which just shows like the level of perfection that is required to catch us struggling Red Bull Max Verstappen. It's wild. You have to have illegal car, perfect strategy.
Exactly.
Perfect driving. And he has to have no brakes. Great.
And Charles Leclerc is like any strategy, bro. Like which strategy?
No, 1 second. We're behind. 1 sec. We're not at strategy with Ferrari. We've reached the point of, hey, first say the name of the driver, then say penalty. Don't say penalty for this thing. You don't understand, right? Like, we are still there in communication. Right? Ek side pe see you Friday. Dusre side pe, hey, listen.
Yeah. There's an interesting stat. Like Charles Leclerc is 1 pole away from Fernando Alonso's pole record. Okay, like how many pole positions Fernando Alonso has? He's 1 pole away. And he's just 9 poles away from Max Verstappen. Okay, and Max Verstappen is on his 50th win. Fernando Alonso has 32 wins, I think. And Charles Leclerc with the worst pole to win conversion ratio of all time. Like, gosh, who is doing the strategy there? Once again, like, I mean, we joked about it so often, this whole Rolodex that they have of like A, B, C, D, F,
Oh,
G.
yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on? Like, with
What was that? There was some Sierra also at some point came, no?
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, Sierra.
Yeah. Remember when Ferrari was actually good at the US GP?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, like,
And that degradation on that car is just absurd, dude. Like within 4 laps, the tires were like, okay, bye, see you, we're done.
which is even more reason why they went on a one-stopper, right? Like,
Yeah, like
we
why
have
would you do that?
we have the worst deg in the field, and therefore we're going to do a one-stop.
And then wake up at the end and be like, hey, so what do you think?
Yeah.
And your driver will be like,
yeah,
पागल है
yeah,
क्या? मैं अभी नहीं आया, पागल है क्या?
Yeah.
1 lap to go. What do you think about
मेरे को क्या
softs?
14th आने का है क्या? पागल है क्या तू?
The one guy who maximized that 1 lap to go on softs was Yuki Tsunoda,
Oh,
man.
Yes.
dude,
Yeah.
she went for it.
Cheeky.
But like Yuki's really got like this new fire in his belly after
Yeah.
Ricardo's come and Lawson. I think he's really
Yeah.
trying hard to prove that he's like,
Yeah, I mean, he could like on performance, you would probably say that okay, give him the second Red Bull seat then. No, like if you're actually looking at Danny Rick, you'd rather take the guy who's outperforming him on track in the same car.
I mean, with the 2 DQs, Yuki scores 5 points because he gets 4 for the position and 1 for fastest lap as well. Yeah.
Imagine like the Red Bull garage radio
Yeah.
being Max on one side and Yuki on the other.
On the other side.
Like just
Bastard, why no move?
GP ka.
It would only be bleeps. That's it.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
like
it.
bleeps.
Let's call it Red Beep Racing.
they will need a new separate therapy budget along with the catering budget.
He will. It's true. But also, so Ferrari strategy in general, but it's been a clown show for a while, and it's something that we've talked about. But something that has become like, at least for this weekend, I feel like Mercedes also bottled it a little bit,
Fully.
like in the race. Like,
Yeah. Strategy wise, though, for sure.
They're not used to also like being at that sharp end of like, acha, let's make actual pivotal decisions that are potentially race winning. No? It's just been like, and also, I mean, like traditionally, you would expect Lewis, like even in the past, when he, for instance, he's been chasing Max at this track only, it was Max who was on the one stop. And Lewis, who, because he believed and knew that he had the pace and had the faster car, had done this thing, and Max had basically got saved because he got one DRS from Mick Schumacher at the end of the race. Yeah. So like when you are in that zone where you're you're on top of your game, you're actually looking to go aggressive and like chase, that's when you make the bold calls. But I think they're just like it's like bold in the other spectrum, like it's bold defensive rather than bold offensive, and I think that's indicative of where Mercedes is also right now.
Yeah, also I think they're just all like treading with caution, because it's like that 1 second place, third place also means so much at this point. It's not like when they were battling earlier, it was like,
you know who it means a lot to? It means a lot to the boys and girls back at the factory. Let's keep pushing, guys. I think this weekend I heard boys and girls back at the factory. And let's keep pushing. Every interview with Lewis Hamilton, that was too. Everything that he did was for the boys and girls back at the factory.
Everything was for them.
That weekend, he seemed so desperate to want these upgrades to work. And for that motivation to really sort of drive through. And to be honest, like we all thought, if you look at the results, you think that the upgrades work. But then if you think about the DQ, you're like, were they actually just running the car lower? And did that like have an impact on them?
That's what the issue is, right? Like I feel like if they had this testing for all the cars, it would be a clear indicator of, is it the track or is it the car? Which at this point, we all have that question mark in our minds saying, the track also has its issues, but is it the upgrade or what, like, where you're not really sure of what whether this penalization is even right or wrong, because like if pretty much more than 50% have the same issue, it's more than likely that it's a track issue.
Could be.
Yeah, but
Could be.
also, I mean, with the random testing, as Dhruv Bhatia says in his super chat, says that it's bad luck for Lewis and Charles, but good luck for Mercedes and Ferrari overall, because if they check all the cars, then it's likely that they don't score any points at all, because both cars would likely have the same like plank wear.
Yeah, while we're on the same topic,
Yeah.
Spencer's super chat also said the entire grid could get disqualified and still Norris would get P2, Hulk would get P4, and Sonoda would get also Norris
that's
2
damn
podiums
good.
away from the record.
But
What
that's
record?
why I
damn good.
think they're just like,
Good job, Spencer.
like shooting in the dark at this point. I like it's bizarre, like the amount of rules that we've seen in this season. I don't think in the last 10 seasons we've maybe seen or heard of with new stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
Like so many penalties, so many, and also the penalties, I feel they haven't really worked out in their head what like should be a disqualification, what should, given the current scenario, as you said, like given that it's a sprint weekend, given all of those things. I think they really haven't.
What do we think about the sprint, you guys? Like, I mean, we
So-
had two of them now back to back.
I've
Like,
made a
reverse
decision
grid,
now.
reverse grid has to be there, I feel.
Yeah,
It-
no. I've made a actual lifestyle decision over this weekend. If it's not at a convenient time, and like
Okay.
unless like we're in one of those things where like the actual title race is like
Yeah.
on a
yeah.
razor's edge,
yeah.
go fuck yourself. I will watch it with my breakfast the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My logic was
Yeah.
after watching the sprint and after hearing the
Yeah.
drivers' comments of the sprint is, I
Yeah.
am not required to show up at 2 a.m. for a race where after they interview the drivers, like, see, honestly, if I
Yeah.
also didn't have to come, I wouldn't come for this race.
Sprint was at 3:30 a.m. in the
And
morning for
yeah, at
us.
3:30,
You know,
dude. 3:30.
And incidentally, like if there's any UFC fans on the stream, like there was an Abu Dhabi UFC card, okay, and it started at 11:30, and I had totally made this mathematics. Okay, 3 ghante chalega Abu Dhabi ka card, so 2:30 I'll watch the pre-race show, and then I can watch the sprint. Fuck off, go to sleep by this thing. But that just as anticlimactic as the sprint was, this Abu Dhabi card also, like it had many first round knockouts, and so by
Yeah.
1:15
Oh, no.
itself the card
Oh,
had gotten
no.
over. Yeah, so I was like,
Oh,
fuck it,
no.
I'm also gonna
I
watch
also
this
saw
in
it
the
the
morning.
next morning.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like, I mean, realistically, I think, I mean, even with the race, I was like, okay, let's see how it's going. And it was great. And I was like, okay, this is exciting. And, you want to stay up for this. But then
Yeah.
after that, you're like, what is this weekend situation? Like, I feel like also they have so much going on. Like, I think the sprint shootout, sprint, then race, then I mean, it's just this like
Also, I don't know who, but someone pointed out over the course of the weekend. I don't know whether one of the drivers or someone in the commentary team, but one of the things they pointed out was that in this format, all the sprint does is it the day before the race gives
Yeah.
every team a 19-lap race
Yeah.
pace simulation of what all the other teams are going to be able to put up with on the
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you can strategize accordingly, which is such a stupid, in a way, advantage to give
Yeah.
sort of better. It makes no
Yeah.
sense. It's just a random showing of cards for no reason, in a way.
I mean,
I think
I'm a little-
Verstappen said this, no, if I'm not wrong, where he was
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
he's just
Yeah.
telling you what's going to
Yeah.
happen next day.
happen the next. I mean, look, I enjoyed Qatar sprint where Oscar Piastri won, and I also feel like one thing that made this race a little bit more interesting, kind of like Qatar, was like a lot of two-stop strategy thing was happening. You know, like the two. I think like a two-stop strategy race is generally like gives enough flexibility if the cars are closely matched. And this weekend kind of maybe exaggerated because of Max's brake issue. It seemed like they were closely matched. So I'm not 100% like anti-sprint, given that like I mean it has been hit and miss, but sometimes when it has been hit, like I do remember.
Yeah, but okay,
Gasly
let
coming
me
P3
put it this
in
way,
the
all right?
sprint,
If you had to go
yeah.
through
Yeah.
all the Karela you've eaten in your life, and there was like one time it was miraculously nice,
It was damn
Yeah.
good.
because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
fried it
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
added
yeah.
like I don't know, like
Bindi. That's for
whatever
me,
to
that's
it, right?
bindi.
Bindi, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Somehow, once they did
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
are you now
Yeah.
saying, I'm not anti?
Yeah.
No, you're just
No,
not
no.
anti that
Like,
preparation.
So,
That
Yeah,
happened.
it's true.
it's a great
It's true.
format, but I just think it's too much happening. Like, I think they need to
Yeah.
drop something, like either the like maybe quali becomes your quali for sprint, and the sprint results become your grid for the race or something, where you don't have this sprint shootout, and like I mean it's just seeming like there's too many things.
No, it's
So
honest. Yeah.
legit
Spaced
question to
out
all of you
that
then. You call it a great format. The question that comes means explain to me what about it is great? Like at
I
this point,
think
what is
just
it
the
offering?
fact that instead of an additional practice session, I don't mind watching a sprint format where I'm like, okay, at least it's like I feel like I'm watching a race, mini race nonetheless, or whatever. But I feel like they've pushed it too far now with too many things. That's what I mean. I'm like,
But
if you're
also, how does
revisiting
the
that,
okay? So for
I mean,
you
they're trying to
guys,
make every session more meaningful,
more
right?
but
meaningful.
Like,
okay,
so it's
every
like, yeah,
session more meaningful. But again, I know
Yeah.
this is a point
Yeah.
I keep coming back to. But I want to again throw it to you guys. How does your Saturday feel on a sprint weekend when you sort of watch this one SQ thing, which now you like? Say for example, you could have potentially, if you were doing something with your life, said, "I'll skip FP3, catch the highlights later, and
Yeah.
then watch quali." Fine. But
Yeah.
now this supposedly thrilling SQ format, but only for
Yeah.
40 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what do you go do sort of with your day, but also have to be back for this? How does that work for you all? I know it doesn't
See,
for me. How does
It
it for you?
doesn't
we're
work.
on we're on other ends of the spectrum. Okay, as a kind of guy who was watching 90-minute FP1 sessions when they were 90 minutes. Okay, it's just watching testing, So anything more meaningful than that for somebody who's already so well invested into everything, like it's like back in the day, qualifying used to be just cars going round and round and
But
round
would
the
you watch
track,
less F1
burning
if
off
this
speed.
format went away?
Yeah. No, so that's the thing. Like, yeah, exactly. For the ultimate nerd of the sport or whatever on that side of the spectrum, I think like for them, and I put myself in that bracket, it's a little bit more interesting to have more meaningfulness to each of the sessions. Is this the most meaningful thing that they could be doing in those sessions? And most meaningful for the Grand Prix as a whole, as opposed to the individual days that comprise it?
I actually think, I mean, to sort of
TBC.
add on to
TBC.
what you sort
Yeah.
of said earlier, I
Yeah.
think the only for me takeaway from this format is that you make all three compounds mandatory on race day in some way.
Or
Or
something
in the
like
legit
Yeah.
qualifying.
Yeah.
Because that is
Yeah.
actually the SQ thing,
Yeah.
the SQ format is actually the only thing
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
that is a good takeaway from this.
Yeah. Like even up till the point where we were doing the start the race on the tires that you qualify on also,
Yeah.
like there was some jeopardy, there was something interesting. Arey shit, they're jeopardizing the qualifying to have advantage in the race. Okay, something interesting. Because over here, this feels like I don't know if it's the right analogy, but it's like saying that okay, in a football match, you have 45 minutes and you have 15 minutes break and you have 45 minutes. Now they're saying ki this 15 minutes in the middle, now you don't do halftime team talk and all. You send the
Yeah.
players out to do one penalty shootout because crowd needs to be entertained.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So I'm saying ki
Yeah.
just get better halftime entertainment. No, like market your support races better, market your
Yeah,
F2
yeah.
and F3 races
For
better,
sure.
so that people are interested in
Certainly.
watching that instead of
Yeah.
like let the people at the pinnacle reach the pinnacle. No, let them have their
Yeah.
2 practices so that they can get the best race, and then let the junior categories, your F2 people also race properly and market those races better to like market that to the new fans as well, so that you're bringing these people in early
Yeah.
to like understanding F2 and then the progression to F1. I don't know, maybe that's an idea.
I think
Honestly, live also it's too hectic. I mean, I remember when we did the Indian GP, for example, it was
Yeah.
so hot, okay, and my dad and me were like, we are doing every single session,
Session, yeah.
and the last day we were like because it's so hectic, and those 2 and 3 hours in between, because you're in the middle of nowhere with nowhere to go, and like like shitty expensive food, no water.
No,
You're just sitting there.
I'm very firmly on the I love F1, but
Oh.
do I Noida love F1? I don't know. I don't think that I do. All right.
The
Yeah.
stands were pretty much empty for practice sessions. It was just like
Yeah.
even quali was like, I would not say full, like just the race day was actually like, okay, a good turnout. But that's what I'm like, does this really work? Or even for someone like me, I don't mind. I won't miss any of the sessions, like you said. But with F1 TV Pro, now you have the option to not watch live and watch it like later
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And I'll watch it,
Yeah.
after like you're not gonna waste your whole day being like, okay, now one session.
I mean, this one was particularly like these new sort of Hollywood movie trailers, right? Where in the
Yeah.
trailer only you
Yeah.
know the whole story, like start to
Correct.
finish. Like they
Yeah.
give you the emotional pathos of the story. The whole narrative is just strung together.
This is
and
a
you know
physics thing at
exactly
this
what's
point.
going to happen.
I think F1 made such a
Or-
spectacular content decision by making Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Immediately an
Yeah.
anti-particle was created at the
That
other
was
end of the
created. Yeah,
universe
yeah.
called the sprint race.
The
To
sprint
be
just needs to be
the
nuts.
absolute nadir of programming, like intelligence of any way, shape, or form. And
Yeah.
that is how it
Yeah.
exists. I think, all right.
Hmm.
And I think this is a very logical
Yeah.
and
Okay.
personally doable solution. All right. Like you
Okay.
said, F1 TV is streaming now. It's an app. All right. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like this thing. So
Yeah.
what if, all right, you do SQ1, okay, but then on F1 TV for free you show Oppenheimer.
I
Okay?
was getting here only.
You show Oppenheimer, okay, or you like show Sholay or like RRR or
Whatever.
something, okay,
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah.
like live Q&A with Christopher Nolan and all that shit. You do all of that, and it shouldn't be like Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. It should be Christopher Nolan for RRR and like Rajamouli for Oppenheimer.
What?
Okay,
And
no,
then-
this disintegrated very
Listen.
quickly.
Oh well, you know what? I guess then I'll
He's
be in
making it
charge of
entertaining,
sprint
bro.
programming next year. I
He's
guess.
making it entertaining, bro.
Then at the
Yeah,
end of those
yeah.
3.5 hours, that finishes,
Yeah.
and now you've kept us attentive for 3.5 hours, and then we
Mm.
watch Sprint.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan also comments on Sprint.
Mhm.
Correct.
This
Yeah,
is my
that
pitch.
is not bad. I would say
Mm.
from a live POV, like I would fully be on board for the co-working space tickets, where like I can watch the race while doing some work.
Like,
Like
yeah,
FP1
yeah.
type
Azim,
situation.
just watch it at home, dude. That's
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
called watching it at home.
But exactly, I
Why are
mean,
you
it's the
going
same
there?
thing. It's the same thing to just sit there and not know what's happening in FP1 at all. At least थोड़ा बाहर से सुनाई देगा अच्छा गाड़ी जा रहा है experience. Okay, good, cool.
No, all the sprint really needs to be nuts. Like they have to do something
Mario
crazy
Kart.
every time. Like yeah,
Mm.
either like there has to be a reverse grid. There has to like
Mm.
it has to be drastic where the non-competitive cars are benefiting from that format also, and it's exciting for all teams. Then maybe
You know, I think that is the main thing. Yes, Shirley. Sorry, Sherry. No, Shirley.
Surely.
Wow. Wild.
I think you mean Sierra.
No, Sherry, that's the absolute point of it. Like, I think sprint races would be more interesting if the cars that generally were disadvantaged
Yeah.
through the season had an advantage of some sort, right? Like and that's where, like, sort of the F2 reverse grid sort of thing conversation sort of comes into that. And I think if sprints have to work, then it has to be to the advantage of the teams that would not normally sort of be.
So
fighting for those
I was
points.
thinking about exactly this, and I was like,
Yeah.
the only counter and the problem that
Yeah.
will happen over here is that because of how hyper competitive F1 is and how people are willing to manipulate rules to whatever extent to get what they need, you will
Yeah.
just see people now doing quality sandbagging to make
Yeah.
sure that they finish 10th and start the race first. It is
First or
not
something,
out
yeah.
of the realm of possibility
Yeah.
where they'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, your target time now
Yeah.
is to be 1/10 slower than Lewis Hamilton.
what-
Can you do this?
Yeah. Logan Sargent P1. Yeah. Yeah.
While he was
Yeah.
sandbagging.
Yeah. Why he was having it. Yeah. It could be. I mean, yeah. I think like on sprints, we've got one more sprint. Brazil is going to be a sprint, I think.
I think it
One or
needs to
two,
be
yeah.
like, like the worst parallel to draw, but I think you got to take a leaf out of the WWE notebook, where like WrestleMania is your main race, but for WrestleMania you need one Hell in a Cell, one Royal Rumble,
yeah.
one Payback.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
some variety
Yeah,
that's
something.
happening.
Yeah.
Alonso starts P3, but he has a chair. That he can just throw.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
behind him.
Or sit on.
Or
the
sit
side.
on.
Yeah, or
Dude,
sit on.
in fairness,
Yeah.
Hell in a
Yeah.
Cell was
in the
Qatar
middle
Grand
of the
Prix.
track. Just be like,
Hell in a Cell was indeed the Qatar Grand Prix. Speaking of, I don't know why
Alonso.
she's not speaking. Oh yeah, speaking of Alonso, the great
My God.
leapfrogging of 2023 is upon us this weekend. With the way things have gone with McLaren now. What 9 points clear of Aston Martin? I think something like that. We'll
And
check
I
that,
think
but yeah, it's happened.
both the Astons didn't make Q2, right? Like, I mean, they got both
Yeah.
Yeah.
in qualifying. They were out in Q3 itself. So,
But again, I think it shows like
Q1
when
is
you
not bad.
and that shows the importance of practice, because you see like qualifying they were both horrendous,
Yeah.
but when they managed to get like, because they decided to break park Ferme and actually set up their cars, they had
Yeah.
decent pace in the race. The fact that Lance Stroll
Yeah.
ended up finishing eighth,
Yeah.
and Alonso probably would have been like sixth if the car had not retired. So
But his was also a floor issue.
correct, yeah.
Alonso one was also a floor issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, yeah, for Alonso, like, if you were to just think about like how Alonso started the season, we are never going to be off the podium. It was
Yeah.
like podium after podium after podium after podium to now, like, I think Lando Norris might outscore him for points in the World Championship
Possible.
as well.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
been like
think, like,
full fortune
yeah,
switch. Now, like exactly
yeah,
what Alonso was doing is what like Norris is
Norris
doing right now
is
with the
happening
car.
right now.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm just looking at the table right now. All right,
yeah.
and Alonso's at 183. Sainz could get him. Norris could get him. Theoretically, Leclerc could get him.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that's
not. It's
crazy.
not. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
that
did
I
they
mean,
bring
just
upgrades this week, or was it like just because
Aston.
did they? Chat would
They
probably
were
know.
supposed to. I think it was
Huh.
supposed to be Merck and Aston. I don't know if they did,
Tell
but
us, oh wise chat.
Yeah. Next week
Wasn't
is
Haas supposed to
Mexico.
bring upgrades?
They
Haas
did,
did
yeah,
bring
and very bad
Yeah.
upgrades.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
They
checking.
got
for one
downgraded.
moment, like for one moment in Q1, Nico Hülkenberg went 51, and
Yes.
I was like, oh wow!
Yes.
And like literally 10 seconds after that, like I think Alex Albon went faster or something like
Yeah.
that. It was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, so correct. Aston did get upgrades and clearly they didn't work. It's sort of like that McLaren kind of situation also, where they got the upgrades didn't work, then they had to like do a completely new direction, and then
Yeah.
finally, but then this late in the season, can you or do you want to go in completely new direction, or do you say, okay, now we know what we have to do to fix the car, so now actually let's finish lower so we get more testing time for next season, because paisa to apne paas bahut hai.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unless, like, I mean, the Stroll story, while it was decent this weekend, is just it's just embarrassing. Like, I mean, if you look at the whole season as a whole, like at some point, Lawrence is going to have to pull the plug, right? Like, as in, do we all believe that, or
I don't know.
in the dream of like Sebastian Vettel and
until
Fernando
he
Alonso sharing
wants
the Aston
to
Martin?
become a pro tennis player, it's not.
Yeah,
Or MBA, whichever one.
do an MBA, bro. Do an MBA. There is a theory. Like, there's this YouTuber called Josh Revel. If you guys haven't seen him, check him out. Like, he does these, like, he's a New Zealand kid or whatever. He did this like cool video about like this fantasy version wherein Aston Martin's also entering World Endurance Championship in 2025. And what a great way to prepare for that by taking a season off next year, Lance Stroll, and going into World Endurance Championship, right? Inevitably, because you're an F1 driver, you'll get lots of bhav. You'll be, hopefully a little bit more competitive. Like,
Yeah.
there's this moment, and it's there in the team radio compilation. Okay, Lance Stroll, let's remember, has been in the sport for 7 years. Okay, 7 fucking years Lance Stroll has been in the sport. Coming in, like, basically at the start of the race, they go out for these outlaps and they have to come back in through the pit lane.
Oh, dude, that, my God. How do you... And despite all of that, he finished 8th.
That was
So he
just
lands
peak
up at the
brain
back.
fart. That was just
Yeah.
peak brain fart.
Lands up at the
I
back.
mean,
He's like,
why
the
would
back
he
look good.
quit, Arjun? What has he got to lose now? After 7 years of being in this space, like, it's like, this is my hobby. Like,
My question is, what has he got to gain? Like, he's going to be last.
Yeah,
He's
because
going to be
paisa
Fernando.
to baap de dega.
it's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
saying that I am an F1 driver and there are only so many of us in the world. So, I mean, I'm in that elite club, and how I got into the elite club is not important, but I'm in the club.
But
I mean,
itna privilege how it will strike.
and yeah, and after a point, even Nikita Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi also were like, "Ha, theek hai yaar." अभी जाके हम MBA करते
I
हैं.
think
Somebody-
I think Nikita Mazepin literally two countries had to
Yeah.
go to war.
Go
Okay?
to war, actually. Yeah.
Hang
Yeah,
on.
if it was up to him.
Hang on. If it was up
So
to him.
once the India-Canada war starts,
Starts, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
straight
Done.
Kush Maini comes, takes next seat.
Kush Maini, if I'm not mistaken, has just joined the Alpine F1 program, right?
Yes, as a test
Mhm.
driver.
As a
Yeah.
test driver.
Alpine with its new, another interesting thing to discuss,
Yes.
with its new ownership strategy, where these famous sports people have taken a
Yeah.
through like a firm have taken like
Yeah.
stake in it. Rory McIlroy,
Yeah.
and Anthony Joshua, Patrick Mahomes, and they were all like there during that weekend. It's an interesting model, I think, like for and in just the wider world of sports marketing as well, like very
And like
cool that like
Rob McElhenney and these guys are already involved, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, and Ryan Reynolds
And
also
Ryan
are
Reynolds.
also.
Ryan
Oh yeah,
also,
correct. They had
Yeah,
they did
yeah.
Alpine along with
Yeah.
Wrexham.
Yeah.
Correct.
They like
just goes to
companies. Yeah, there's like companies with rec in them.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing for them in sport. Like,
I mean, it goes to show like what F1 has been able to achieve in terms of its commercial success, especially in the US. Like, I mean, this weekend was another, like, one of 3 Grand Prix in the US this year. And again, like a plethora of fucking celebrities, Drew Barrymore, say, like Elon Musk, like, you name it, like, whoever the hell was there. I can't even, like, if all of these people were in Austin, who the hell is going to be there in Las Vegas? Like,
yeah, nah.
you know?
Hey,
Yeah. So, like they're stacking it. So very interesting business model with the Alpine team, and I'm interested to see if like maybe some of the smaller teams, like somebody like a Haas, for example, could lean into celebrity ownership in a big way. That could like do a lot for that team. I think. Like,
you telling me Gunther Steiner is not a celebrity? I know he's not the owner, but are you telling me
Yeah,
he's not
yeah,
a celebrity?
yeah,
Please.
yeah.
But I think it will go into that direction, honestly, Arjun. I feel like because it's also, I mean, when we had Force India, for example, with Vijay Mallya, it was like probably like a really big, cool thing for,
Yeah.
an Indian businessman.
Yeah, absolutely.
One team at that time, right? Like we were all like,
Yeah.
wow, this is like, that's quite cool. So I
Yeah.
think with the growing interest in America, it's definitely going to happen because like you obviously have insider access. You're like in like when you have these races, it's crazy where they are all pretty much like, yeah, this is my team and I'm here, right? So I think
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's definitely going to happen because it also happens a lot with like their football and whatever. There's crazy money, they all know. So I think it's
Yeah.
just a matter of time, and now that it started with one, I feel like it is going to have this trickle down effect where more people are going to be like, how do I get into this?
Yeah, especially once Andretti comes in, like another like full-on American
Exactly.
brand.
Yeah.
It will happen eventually. And plus now every second race is going to be in the US anyway at this
And they
point.
probably
Yeah.
have more, as you're saying. Like it's like saying, okay, if the money is there, let's do more.
And you got Brad
Yeah.
Pitt doing an F1 movie, which will happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, the way it's blown up in that entertainment industry side of things is, and sport marketing side of things in the US is nuts. One incidental, like, sort of, like, random thing that happened this weekend because of that is because of, like, the tobacco sponsorship that's there on the side of the McLaren car through Velo. Velo is, like, a British American tobacco, like, vape company.
Okay.
And whatever. So, like, if you saw the Velo sort of branding on it closely, it had a disclaimer warning, like smoking is injurious to health type of warning. So there was a small black strip that says, warning, this is a nicotine product, because of the fact that this is like,
okay.
It was like a small black strip. You'll notice it on the side of the McLaren if you sort of see any of the photos or whatever. And I was just wondering, like, hey, could we extend that to other brands that are potentially harmful to people's health? Like, could we say, like, Aramco, warning, like, kind of chill on human rights.
Yeah.
Like,
Crypto, warning, bankruptcy.
Warning. Warning.
No, there's not enough space on F1 cars. All right. There's not enough space on F1 cars for the warnings for the sort of brands. Hey, what do you do with rich energy then?
Warning, abandonment issues.
Yeah.
As Yogendra says in the chat, Ferrari ka logo would be like, Ferrari, this is only injurious. Mental health.
Gosh, Ferrari, dude. And like, I don't know if you guys have seen this new trailer for this new Ferrari movie that's coming out, which stars Adam Driver.
Adam
And
Driver,
he
Of
was,
course.
take some inspiration from like the guy who's playing your founder in the film, like get something right. Gosh, it was, what can you say about this team?
Yeah, this year's done. They ain't getting. I
Yeah.
think if anybody wins a race this year, it'll, I think, either be, apart from Verstappen, it'll either be Hamilton or Norris. I don't see anybody else getting a win. Like, not even Checo, not a Ferrari, nobody.
I was really encouraged by Lewis, to be honest. Like, I
Yeah.
think like
I
he-
thought
he, like,
this could have been it, right? Like at one
Brazil
point,
is a track he likes also.
yeah.
I think if it suits the characteristics of the car,
And
like
they
I
won last year
wouldn't-
also in Brazil, no?
Yeah, I
Did they
wouldn't
not?
be surprised. Yeah. Mexico, I think we can all count out. Like, if Checo does not, what happens to Checo if he's not on the podium at this race, guys?
Uh,
Then who is his dad going to dance with in the celebrations?
he got saved this weekend because obviously Hamilton didn't get any points.
The
with-
points, yeah.
But I mean, like I don't think he's gonna keep that P2 in the championship realistically.
I think we were joking about the fact that there's these rumors about like Checo retiring potentially at the end of the season and that
Yeah,
whole
what I
thing.
sent on the group.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if he doesn't get on the podium in Mexico,
Then retire then
track-
only.
yeah, like I mean, this Mexico should be a slam dunk 1-2 for Red Bull. They are so strong at this circuit. Freaking half the Texans in Austin were also supporting Checo only.
Yes.
I think there was this whole conspiracy that because Helmut Marko was on the podium, all the Mexicans in the audience were sort of booing Max, like because of the shit that Helmut says. I don't know, that's all like rumor mill or whatever. But like, 2 races where he'd have like back-to-back significant support, and if he doesn't
But
make it out of like
apparently
Q2 or
there's,
something.
Tension there also, na. Horner wants Marco out now, and whatever is what the other rumors are.
Yeah. Himanshu says Adam is in fact a driver in the movie. Nice
Yes.
one, Himanshu.
Nice one.
Vishnu says go digital, make the car a body only a screen. But
There
No,
is,
just
like, I
make
think
all green
make-
cars.
No,
Oh,
McLaren is doing that. Like, I think there's a digital ink display, like what's
Yeah,
on your
yeah,
Kindle.
yeah.
Like
Oh.
they were like doing so in certain corners you could be branded by, I don't know, like whatever the crypto brand, and then certain corners you're branded by the,
So
tobacco
maybe you
brand.
could use that to also like trash talk to drivers, no?
yeah,
Yeah.
across,
Somebody trying to overtake,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
just rear wing opens, औकात में रह साले.
yeah.
When you're going past the
Yeah.
pits and like the hospitality boxes, it's all luxury brands.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get to like the cheap seats.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a why
Big
don't you buy some
Macho.
candy? Yeah.
Big Bazaar. Yeah. FIA, are you listening? Stop sprint weekends. This is the
Yeah,
information we want to see.
No
Yeah.
sprint weekend, print weekend, print
Print
every day of the car.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, Azim, you're disqualified from this podcast.
Okay, I need to leave anyway.
We
So
have
I should-
investigated the floor and found the floor to be too low.
I think the ceiling of jokes you mean was too low.
Ceiling of jokes was too low.
Jokes was too low, yeah.
But what else do we have to discuss? What other sort of narratives played out? Forgettable one for McLaren and Piastri in the sense that unfortunately
Yeah.
that he had to retire.
I don't think Lando thought it was unfortunate.
No,
I
of
think
course not.
Lando was like,
Of
yeah.
course not. That's why I said McLaren and Piastri. I didn't just say McLaren. Overall.
Yeah. Lando was like, yeah, venture, like, fuck it. Yeah, this is what happens. I get
घर
too
के
far ahead
एक
of yourself,
बेडरूम में
yeah.
तो डिस्को बज रहा था उस रात.
Yeah. You think you're too big for your boots winning a fucking sprint
Yeah,
race? Yeah,
exactly.
give me this shit. Yeah. This is real life, motherfucker.
Yeah, but he's away from that record, no? The unwanted one of the maximum number of
Podiums without a
Podiums
win.
without a win.
Yeah, poor guy, and he seemed to want it a lot.
Yeah,
like,
he
I
was
mean,
very desperate for this one. I mean, it seemed like I was like, there was that desperation, but then
For sure, he got such a great start, and
Yeah.
it just seemed like that the pace definitely wasn't there. Like Mercedes definitely seemed quicker, and I mean Max even like without his brake issues would have probably
But
been like
if
way
you
further
think they had
ahead.
all committed like to the correct or the right strategy that Red Bull had figured out on time, you
Yeah.
think Norris could have held potentially held him off?
I don't think so.
I
No,
mean,
no.
as a McLaren fan,
don't
I
think
wish so, but I doubt it. Yeah, I think, man, and there's something also probably also because of the sprint, for example. Like Max was so far ahead. Like I don't think like
No.
anybody was
that's
even
what-
competing. So it's like people are just letting him by. Like when he's making moves or whatever, people are just like getting out of the way. They don't want to ruin their sort of race or whatever. Like Carlos Sainz was trying desperately to do that whole like I'll stay in your DRS type of thing for a few laps
Yeah,
after he
yeah.
was overtaken. But that's about it. Like I mean,
Also, just what is this guy's problem? He's won. It's over.
yeah, it's over.
Why
Yeah,
is he still
yeah,
shouting at everybody? It's
yeah,
over. He's won.
yeah,
There are literally Alexander. No more worlds
yeah,
left to conquer.
yeah.
This year at least. Why are you still shouting?
That's crazy though, man. Like
Right.
I mean, that
It's the
level
Terminator,
of
bro. Won't stop coming.
Yeah.
relentlessness. And I think like that's what GP is also a little bit like pissed off about. Probably if that's like if you can sense anything from that team radio or whatever, he's like, man, fucking okay, you got a brake issue, bro. Like, but like
Once this year,
once this
after
year you
winning
had a
everything.
problem with your car. Wow,
Yeah.
like
And
Oh,
you're still
no.
winning. I mean, it's
You
not like
have
he's
to
got a brake
work-
issue and he's sitting in 10th.
You
I
have
mean,
to
But this
sing
is
for
what
your
Yoss
supper,
has done
like-
to Max, no, which is
Max,
why he's
yeah,
doing
yeah.
this too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he is
GP, yeah.
GP, like he is GP's Yoss.
Yeah,
GPOS.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
GPOS
yeah,
helps you find
Yeah.
direction.
yeah, exactly.
Who else? We got Verstappen, Perez. We talked about Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Leclerc. Really, nothing much to talk about.
Yeah, Alpine's had apart from Ocon retiring, but Gasly, like they had pace. Yuki quietly putting in performances, getting the points. But yeah, apart from that, everybody else, the usual suspects who were supposed to do nothing, did nothing, and somehow Logan Sargent got into the points. But I'm happy for him. At least home race, he managed to get like
Correct.
just get the monkey off his back. Ki, chalo, ek point mil gaya. I'm not going to be the only driver on the grid who didn't score a point. So it's done. Good
But
for
do
him.
you think it even matters in this scenario? Like, I mean, everybody knows how he got the point. Like, I mean,
Yeah, but
not like
it's
an
just
earned
one
point.
set of memes that stops, That's all.
It's okay. However, he got it all right. The point
Yeah,
is the magic of Goddess America worked for him on his soil. Like that's the important thing.
I do like. I mean, magic. Speaking of magic of America, that national anthem that they did this time on that. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the national anthem before the race, but it was particularly moving. It was on like the USGP has this like high platform. Where that corner is, and they had I can't remember who, maybe a country musician who played this like really lovely acoustic version of the song, and it was like chilling. Like I was like, oh fuck, is Bane going to show up or something? Like I mean,
nice.
Nice. It was great. Like I mean, it was very nice. You guys can check
Who
it
was
out.
the cowboy at the end?
That's
Who did
like
the checkered flag?
Some actor only, no? He
Some
was.
actor,
some actor. I don't
He
know
was
who it
the
was.
starting grid also. They interviewed him before also.
Yeah.
Chat, if you can tell me, I didn't. I was starting to fall asleep by that point. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's all good, it's fine. But yeah, all right. Anything else to chat about? I also know Azim has to run, so
Yes.
do we have any more talking points, friends? I feel like nothing to talk about for Haas, Alpha Tauri. Danny Rick had damage, and so nothing much that he could do.
And we've all been damaged by the weekend. So
oh yeah, my God!
We got to do the same thing again, no? Within Mexico, same timings.
Mexico though is going to be Mexico can be a real short one because I can tell you right now it's Red Bull Racing 1-2 and we don't. The only thing is that where does Checo finish? Is it P2? Is it P1? Like what? That is the only.
I'm
question.
saying he's not going to be on podium only.
I'm
Not on the
saying
podium.
I'm not Checo's dad, so I don't know how much I care about Checo at 2 a.m. on a Sunday. I'll be very
Yeah,
real with you.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
saying Checo's gonna be pleading with them to tell Max to pass him wherever they are, and he's like not gonna. It's not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
like,
Like,
Max
please ask
has given
Max.
his reasons. Max will be
Yeah.
like, I'm breaking. Don't talk to me.
Yeah,
Like, Max,
yeah,
you're on
yeah.
the straightest part of the track, but I'm breaking.
Yeah.
or like this one said, "Na, why do I have to let him pass? We'll talk about
Yeah,
it."
yeah. We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll literally just be Checo saying, please ask Max to move, please ask. They're like, but bro, he's first, you're seventh. He'll move.
Yeah,
But you overtake the
you
first
get there.
six
Yeah,
cars
you
in the
get-
middle first.
Just,
He's waiting for you to come.
And then
Just-
Max will be like, "Just tell Checo to follow me."
Yeah. Though, I mean, there is that it's also a short track. Max is incredibly dominant at it. If he doesn't have like a good qualifying, there is a very likely situation that at his home track, Max might lap Perez. Like if, like, say he doesn't qualify in the top 10 or whatever.
Maybe
Like,
that's the
and-
photo finish
yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
That's the photo
Checo will
finish,
wait
right,
at the finish line
Yeah,
one lap.
finish like one lap behind. Yeah, yeah.
And you just know that
Exactly.
Max is the sort of person to have heard those boos and be like, you know what? Boo again.
Yeah, oh, what? Fuck you
Boo
guys. Yeah,
again.
Again, boo again. Yeah.
No problem.
While Swedish House Mafia play on that like Mexico stage, or like one of these like Dutch fucking DJs who's his friend only, Martin Garrix or something like
Yeah.
that. It's like
Swedish House Mafia with
Yeah.
It's
Papa
Leclerc.
Perez
It's
singing,
Leclerc.
don't you worry, child.
Yeah. No, he'll play some like Mexican, like some Latino big pop, like some Bad Bunny or something like that, just to rub it into everybody's face, Despacito.
Oh,
Like,
he'll
bro,
play Max,
yeah,
Max, Max, Super Max.
Max, yeah.
It's just amazing. I think that's a good, like, deranged enough point for us to sort of end this evening's proceedings. It has been fun. Thank you everybody who joined. If you can, hammer that like button once on your way out. Anybody have any announcements for shows, etc., whatever that they would like to do?
Yeah,
Azim and
has
I
one
are doing
right
rough
now.
work column. Azim has one right now. Azim and I and Ashish are also on rough work column happening at the Habitat tomorrow.
That's sold out, I think.
That's sold out. Okay, then
Yes.
in that case,
No, Saturday is the important show.
Saturday
28th. At Rang Mandir in Bandra. We'll have Rohan, me, Sahil Shah, Nishant Tanwar, Daniel Fernandez, Sridhar Venkataraman, Nivedita Prakasam, and
full
many more
on
people.
nice big 700-seater auditorium.
And I'm
We are
recording
all
also that
performing.
day. It will be fun.
And it's going to be a very, very fun evening.
Yes,
I'm
and
sure.
beyond that, I'm touring in December, so all the dates
Also
are on
doing
my
a
social
spot
media.
on the 27th, which is Friday night at Cat Cafe in Versova. So if you like cats and comedy, please come there also. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else, Azim?
No, that's it. I am also planning to start a separate channel for streaming video games because this algorithm does not agree with streaming and videos on same channel. So,
Okay, fair.
my details are on Instagram.
Amazing. Fantastic. Fun one, friends. Fun one, chat. Thank you for enjoying. Friends, thank you for giving enjoyment. It's been a pleasure. See you after the next race that we have to muster enthusiasm for. This spectacularly dead rubber.
Hey, we get mariachi theme next week. All right.
Oh yeah, we do. Yes. Chalo. Well, you know that at least something to live for. It's all good. Thank you, friends. Shubhratri.
Good night, everyone. Cheers.